Hello everyone, in today's video we will go over a list of topics which are important for system design interview. I have curated this list after reading different blogs and watching YouTube videos related to system design interview. So there are so many things in this list. Say for example, we have availability, reliability, scalability. We also have some database topics, some load balancer topics. Also we have caching and some other important things. So let's try to zoom in for each section. We have availability. Availability is the ability of a system to remain operational with minimal or absolutely no downtime. Then the reliability, if a system is reliable, we can call it like available. However, if a system is available, it's not necessarily reliable. To be reliable, a system need to be fault tolerant and it should have integrity, right? Then scaling, there are two different types of scaling. We have horizontal scaling and vertical scaling. Horizontal scaling means that we actually scale by adding more servers into our pool of resources, right? Whereas vertical scaling means that we scale by adding more power like CPU, RAM, storage, etc. to an existing server. Then we have load balancer. When we add multiple servers, we need a mechanism to distribute the loads or incoming traffics among all the servers, right? That's why we place a load balancer in front of our servers. When we add a load balancer, we also need to think about load balancing algorithms. We have different algorithms like round robin, weighted round robin. We also have least connection method. That means whatever server has the lowest number of connection, the next request will go to that server. Then we have IP hash. IP hash is basically hash of the client IP address and goes to a random server based on that client IP hash. Then we also need to read about some database topics. Say for example, we need to understand like SQL database versus NoSQL database, and also there are different types of NoSQL database, right? We have key value database, we have document database, and graph database. Also, you need to understand the database partitioning and sharding. We have horizontal partitioning, vertical partitioning, directory based partitioning, etc. We need to understand like when do we want to do database indexing, and also the drawbacks when we add database indexing. We also read about cap theorem. We also need to understand the acid properties. Then the caching. Caching has some obvious benefits. We need to understand when and how we want to implement caching. We need to also understand the cache eviction policy. There are a couple of policies like FIFO, fast in, fast out, LRU. We have LFU, least recently used and least frequently used. Then most recently used, we have RR, which means like randomly replaced, something like this. We also need to read about like distributed caching. Definitely we should read about Redis. It is like very popular and like used in many different systems. We also need to read about CDN, which is like content delivery network or distribution. We use this to keep our media resources like image and videos close to our customers. There are some other important concepts also. Consistent hashing is a very popular mechanism where we have multiple servers or nodes in a distributed manner, and servers are coming up and going down frequently. We also need to understand some topics in depth like TCP, STP versus HTTPS. We also need to understand like TLS and MTLS for securing our HTTP connections. We also need to read about different topics like HTTP polling versus HTTP long polling versus WebSocket. We also need to understand API design standards. There are some important things about like sync versus async path design. We also need to read about consensus algorithm like Paxos, Raft. Some of the important things about OS like process, thread pool, and executor. These are basically Java concept also like thread pool versus executor. It's also good to have some understanding about deadlock, etc. So here in this video, I tried to put all the important topics together. Going forward in our next videos, we will try to dive deep in each section.